she realizes that it's all in here. It's not out there. And she's happy at home with a man who loves her.
Night Sky is a new series from Amazon Prime about an elderly couple, Frank and Irene, played by J.K. Simmons and Sissy Spacek, who happen to have a portal to an abandoned alien outpost underneath the shed in their backyard. And one day when Jude, played by Chai Hansen, ends up in the shed, their lives change forever. This is not an alien invasion. In fact, we're not even quite sure if Jude is an alien, nor is Jude out to hurt them. But what he does do is fill a hole in this elderly couple's life that was made by the loss of their son, who left behind a daughter, played by Kaya McKiernan. Now, Night Sky has another mystery that I won't spoil for you, but what I will say this. Portals are doorways. Doorways work both ways. And there's another story that unfolds regarding where Jude is really from. I was lucky enough to be able to interview Academy Award winners Sissy Spacek and J.K. Simmons about Frank and Irene and how Jude's presence forces them to look at their 50 years of marriage very differently. Do you feel this is a sci-fi story or a family story?
Well, I think it's a little of both. I hope that fans of the genre will hang in through the Franklin and Irene part, and I hope that young people will be pulled into it, and old people.
What was it like working with Sissy and sort of being able to play in the best playground every day?
Speaking of wonderful actors, Sissy was already attached by the time they came to me and asked me to play Franklin. So she was part of what drew me to it. And then, as we continued and the story sort of expanded and I got to work with Chai and Kaya and what ultimately becomes a very diverse cast and a very diverse world and universe as the show progresses. It continued to be a good experience. And even as a senior citizen, it's always a learning experience.
How does Irene's view of the world differ from Franklin's?
Irene is inside her head a lot. And I think Franklin I think we could all learn something from Franklin. He's a curmudgeon, but he's a curmudgeon when he's worried about her. But he's more content with his life. He's happy there with Irene.
Yeah, the simple but deep kind of is the way I thought about him. And as we meet the older version of Franklin and Irene, and we also see them, portrayed, as 20-year-olds by other actors, as you might guess. And then, ultimately, spoiler alert, we'll kind of see almost everything in between. The scenes that Sissy and I first played, this is a couple that's been together for 50 years. There's been a recent sort of event that has somewhat compromised Sissy's health and her mobility and all that. And really at the beginning of the story, all Franklin is about is taking care of his wife, the love of his life, and trying to hang on to her and to what they have together.
At the beginning of the series, Irene is so sad and Franklin seems so happy. But after she meets Jude, she comes to life again. Do you feel that she feels Jude is replacing something that she lost?
I do. I think that she's just hoping that Jude can lead her to either, since he came from the other side, that he can lead her to Michael or to have she doesn't know, but she's got hope. She's been waiting for 20 years sitting in front of that thing in her Barca lounger.
When Franklin first meets Jude, it's clear why he's wary, but what makes him change his mind about him, and how does that affect essentially his relationship with his wife?
I think ultimately and that was a real complexity that we discussed, about the script and how the story develops and in particular that relationship. I think at the end of the day, it has a lot to do with just Franklin's inherent, even though he has a little bit of the sort of, classic gruff exterior, he's a stoic, traditional Midwestern waspy dude, right? But he's also, more than I think he is aware sometimes, an empathetic human being. And at the end of the day, he can't be cruel.
What is Irene's biggest fear?
At this point in her life, her fear is probably never knowing what that thing in their backyard, what that means.
What's Franklin's biggest fear?
Losing Irene.